2005, I still remember the tension as immigrant rights activists squared off with a Minuteman group beginning patrols on the border. The group was inspired by the Minuteman Project in Arizona, led
vigilance by common American citizens like us.
by Jim Gilchrist. In 2010, Gilchrist shut down his last patrol amid a jump in the hiring of Border Patrol agents. But now he's issuing a call for the volunteers to remobilize.
They were once a group designed to assist the American government and law enforcement to keep this country safe along thousands of miles of southern border. Internal discourse derailed their focus, but in light of how disastrous the situation has once again become, the Minutemen have returned with plenty of questions to ask and answer. Let's welcome to MidPoint the co-founder of the Minuteman Project, Jim Gilchrist, joins us today via telephone. Jim, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on your program, Ed.
Jim, what was the flashpoint that made you decide the Minutemen must return?
The point at which I launched the Minuteman Project, rebooted, you might say, was when President Obama gave that speech in Texas, a very eloquent speech about how he was going to seal off those borders, he was going to enforce our immigration laws, he was going to repatriate and deport these current wave of illegal aliens who have come here. He told me everything I wanted to hear, absolutely everything. However, he told me nothing I could believe. We've been through this before. It's just more empty rhetoric designed to keep concerned Americans behind a smokescreen of propaganda, in my opinion, while putting some kind of a prominent spotlight, almost celebrity status, on these so-called benefits of bringing millions of illegal aliens out of the shadows. We're behind the smokescreen. They are out of the shadows. Go figure. Something's wrong with this picture.
In your opinion, why would the president lie?
Just like every president before him has lied and every Congress has lied. We have not had a president or a Congress that has taken United States immigration policy or immigration law seriously since Dwight Eisenhower. He aggressively encouraged the enforcement of our U.S. immigration laws, and he was very successful at it. In the last 55 years, we have not had someone to replace him. I mean, there are leaders and there are followers, and there are those people who are resigned to, I guess, the sedation of non-thinking bliss. And I think that's what we've had in public office, at least in D.C., for the last 55 years on this particular issue, that's for sure.
Jim, let's look at... no, please, go ahead, finish.
In memory of Dwight Eisenhower, who orchestrated the largest mass of military might to stop Nazi Germany, on June 6, 1944, I decided I'm going to name this Operation Normandy, and my goal is to amass as many Americans and legal residents who are waiting for citizenship, people who have immigrated here legally, to join me on the border from San Diego, California to Brownsville, Texas, and simultaneously join me at all 51 of the Mexican consulates scattered around the country. I put high priority of blame on Mexico for this, as well as the Chicken Littles, who have sat in the White House for 55 years and sat in congressional and senatorial offices for the last 55 years and have let this happen.
Jim, let me get you to answer a controversial question then. The Minuteman Project in 2005, there was traction by this group. There was internal turmoil, accusations of vigilantism, criminal charges against some of the people involved, and that includes the former leader, Chris Simcox, that basically, in many minds, led to its demise at that time. What makes this version of the Minutemen different?
It is only by one rule that I would expect people to present themselves and participate. And that one simple rule is, whatever you do, you stay within the rule of law, and there are no exceptions. We have a pretty good relationship with law enforcement. They are not our enemy. They're our allies. We want to support them. We do not want to interfere with them, and we do not want to disappoint them, nor do I want anybody to disappoint the American public. Yes, there have been a couple incidents of some very serious embarrassment. These were not this conduct was not committed by anyone in the Minuteman Project, but in rogue groups that use the Minuteman movement as a veil to essentially carry out sinister and criminal activities.
So the people then who used the Minuteman effort before, the people then who basically brought disrepute to the Minutemen, were not people that you would have given rise to, that you would have given any sort of legality to or any sort of a notice to. They weren't part of your group, is what you're saying.
No, they were card-carrying members of the Minuteman Project. We don't have card-carrying members. We have anyone who agrees that we should be a nation governed by laws, not by mob rule, that mob being 30 million illegal aliens, is an honorary member of the Minuteman Project. That gives me 280 million members. Not all of them agree with me, but I look at the movement itself as having 280 million out of the 310 million population who want our immigration laws enforced. And if we can't get that, then we would like an admission from the U.S. Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer a nation of laws. The laws apply only to those of you who are foolish, gullible, or downright stupid enough to obey them. Sorry I have to insult my Congress the way I do, but I've had it.
Okay.
I've had it.
Then let me take it one step further, Jim. One step further here, because you talk about the fact that the people that you have involved right now in the Minutemen, you want to make sure that they are within the rule of law, which I think is exactly as it should be. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection has said they, quote, do not endorse or support any private group or organization from taking matters into their own hands along the border, since it could lead to disastrous personal and public safety consequences. Taking that into account, then, how are you going to be able to control everybody and make sure that the people that are representing the Minutemen and along the border are indeed all within the letter of the law and aren't getting in the way of the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol or even the National Guard, who's now there in Texas?
I broadcast one message. Like me, you are an independent American sovereign person. You have the right, the irrevocable right, supposedly, to freely and peacefully assemble on U.S. territory and bring your grievance forward. It's each man, woman, and child for him and herself, on their own, under their own recognizance, their own responsibility. If they go beyond the rule of law, they can expect arrested, cited, and prosecuted. It's as simple as that. And it's something that we should be doing to the illegal aliens that come into this country, not to innocent American citizens who simply want to present their grievance to a Congress that continues to ignore us and give us a deaf ear and a blind eye.
Understood.
We want this problem resolved.
Are you
That's
also
my
then
answer.
Are you also then warning these people, because there have been instances where certain members, when we have the various protestations that are seen in Southern California, certainly some in Marietta, there have been reports about people who are coming armed to these demonstrations and people who are arming themselves along the border. Are you concerned at all then that you may have people who, quite frankly, could just take matters into their own hands and create a disastrous incident?
I have that concern in my own neighborhood where I live. It's a constant concern we all have in every community in the country. As long as they carry weapons according to the rule of law in the particular jurisdictions that they're manning outposts in or demonstrating in public protest, that's up to between them and the rule of law. I have no say in it. It's not my decision who's going to carry a weapon, when they're going to carry it, and what weapon they're going to carry. That's between them and the rule of law. Basic and simple. And each person is responsible for him or herself. And I agree. People get very passionate on this issue. There was a situation in Marietta, California, 4 weeks ago, where 140 Minutemen type or immigration law enforcement advocates actually got into the street, and in defiance of law enforcement orders to disperse, they sat and stood there and refused to budge. Law enforcement, I think, did the good thing in just backing off like they did at the Clive Bundy incident, rather than creating a situation where there's going to be a lot of violence. What has happened? This is the very first time I've seen anybody essentially outrageously break the law en masse. What is happening is that American people like me who are frustrated with the lack of law enforcement see that we are no longer a nation of laws, that we have to obey every law, but illegal aliens don't have to obey any other than some serious criminal laws like murder and robbery and burglary and drug dealing, but the basic laws protecting us as a sovereign nation are completely gutted. So,
Jim, let me ask you,
is
unfortunately, I'm almost out of time here. I
understand.
only have about 30 seconds left. There's a report that you're seeking 3,500 volunteers. How many do you have now?
We have about, with Texas Minutemen, Shannon McGauley's Texas Minutemen, about 800. Another 2,000, roughly 2,000, who said they want to go at our website. And that could be only 10% show up. So I don't know. I'm seeking at least 3,500 for the border, Brownsville to San Diego, and another 3,500 minimum to protest at the 51 Mexican consulates within the United States.
Okay, we are all out of time, Jim. I thank you so much for your candor. We will keep in touch, and we will see how you're doing. We thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, the Russians busted by international law when MidPoint continues.